What's going on, everybody? This is Mattdoesfitness, and claustrophobic people are more productive thinking outside the box. Okay, this is my squat highlights from week 3 of my 6th cycle, and no is the answer to your question. I have not gone back in time. So fairly old subscribers amongst you will know that this was my old stomping ground. This is where I used to train. This horrendous crap hole that I used to refer to as a gym is where I used to train. I trained there for a long time, a good few years, up until recently when I moved. Anyway, went to train, did my first session, the squat session of the week, and my gym was closed. So I had to kind of come crawling back, sniveling back with my cap in hand to my old gym. And it was kind of cool. It was weird, but it was kind of cool to train here. So anyway, the session was 5 sets of 5, 205 kilos, 452 pounds, and I got it. This equals my rep set PR for 5 sets of 5, which I did before I left for Malaysia. So everything is back on track. I'm feeling good. When I did this session the last time around, so before going to Malaysia, I got to the 3rd set and it was a massive grind, and I was going to leave it there. I had to get a couple of guys to spot me for the last 2 sets, and I just about got them out. So to be getting this now in this pretty crappy environment. Also, this was kind of in and around getting my root canal done in my mouth, which is a lot better now, by the way. But anyway, this was in and around that, so the circumstances were far from ideal. So obviously, I'm very pleased to get this. And I would go as far as to say this is probably the best squat session I've ever done in my life. So I'm obviously delighted with that. Yeah, I mean, you see here, obviously, it's a different setup. Like I used to, in this gym, take a massive long walkout. I used to take like a 5-meter walkout if you used to watch my old videos, because the floor is all bumpy. And then I kind of thought, you know what, I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of flat 4 for having to walk out really far, because with low bar squat, trying to walk a few meters with a bar on your back is far from ideal. So I thought I'll just kind of suck it up. So the floor is a little bit wonky, which obviously is not ideal, and like I said, that kind of just adds to my happiness of getting this session done this well, because it's the best I've ever done. So I'm very pleased. I mean, you see there, none of the reps were kind of giant grinders. Admittedly, the last rep of the last set, which we'll see in a minute, was a pretty was a pretty big grinder. Sorry, I'm just boring myself. Was a pretty big grinder, but I got it done. No dumping the bar, no spotting required, so that is obviously good news and sets me up nicely. I now just have the conundrum of when I'm going to split my cycles, because this training cycle, I have, I think, like 7 or 6 weeks of the competition. This is obviously week 3. I've already said I'm not going to run one massive long training cycle, because that doesn't work in my opinion, or it didn't work for me last time around anyway. So it's obviously going to be split into 2 smaller training cycles, and I'm just trying to decide when I'm going to split that and when I'm going to test for my singles, because I do like to test quite frequently and go for PRs quite frequently, just for confidence and just to know that everything's working. So that is what I will do. I'm thinking maybe 2 weeks time, so watch this space. There could be some PRs coming then. Anyway, squat accessory work wise, I did some front squats and I went for some singles because I couldn't be bothered to do any more than 1 rep. So here I'm doing 553 pounds, 160 kilos, which I think is actually my front squat PR. I never ever test it. I always end up doing front squats after I do all my work in normal sets. So obviously by that point I'm fried. I'm pretty sure I could get up to, maybe have a chance getting 400 pounds for a front squat, I reckon. But yeah, I mean, I'm probably never going to do it fresh, so I'm probably not going to get to that for a while. Anyway, here is my general bodybuilding work. So I'm doing some cable rows, and yes, I have missed lying on the floor. This is pretty much as good as it gets as far as the setup goes. Obviously, you are lying on the floor with your feet on the wall because there is nothing better to do in terms of rows. As has been the usual for me recently, I did 4 sets of 10 to 12, with the 4th set being a drop set. Then I did some machine lap pull downs, and when I say machine, I mean just a pile of pieces of metal that kind of loosely move up and down, which allows you to balance weights on. But yeah, machine is a very generous description. Anyway, again, I did 4 sets of 10 to 12, again the 4th set being a drop set, and that was my first session. And now here is my second and final session of the week. This session was 5 sets of 3, 215 kilos, 474 pounds, which again equals my PR for this session, which I did before I went away. So again, like I said earlier, everything is back on track. This is the strongest I've ever been, you know, equivalent to the strongest I've ever been, so I'm feeling pretty good. And of course, you see here, I'm back in my regular gym. The gym was open, thank God, so no issues there. Anyway, this, in a bit of contrast to the first session, wasn't so great. So the first session, it was almost a bit of an opposite. The first session I went in feeling not great and ended up getting the sets out pretty friggin' well. This session I went in feeling fairly good, fairly positive, started warming up, and then I just was just aware of the fact that I didn't feel great. If you watched my deadlift session from a couple of days ago, if you didn't go and watch it now, that was the best deadlift session of my life. That happened 48 hours prior to this, and obviously the first squat session was prior to that, so it's a lot of work I had in my system, and I think it just kind of caught up with me. Like, the last few training days have probably been the best few days in terms of training of my life. So yeah, I think I was kind of, I think it's just kind of caught up with me. My CNS, I just didn't feel, I didn't feel sharp. I can always tell when my CNS is taking a bit of a hammering, because the weight doesn't, it's not that the weight feels hard to move, it's just, I don't know, everything happens slowly. I just feel really unresponsive, and this was one of those days. When I kind of really tried to get G'd up and really, tried to kind of power out of the hole, it came out quite well, but generally I just felt a bit rubbish. It's a Friday. Oh, I'm yawning now making this. Oh, sorry. It's a Friday. I've had a long day at work. Yeah, I just didn't feel great. But with that said, I got almost all of my reps and sets. I say almost all because on the 5th and final set, which you are about to see now, I did something which I have not done for quite a while. I dumped the bar. Now, I found this very frustrating. I do not like not finishing sessions, but it was the 3rd and final rep of the last set, so I'm not too fussed. I'll still take that as doing the session, and I'll still up the weight next week. You see there, those first 2 were actually pretty good. I felt fairly confident, and then what I did here wasn't a strength issue. I just let myself, for some reason, sit back too much. I think that's probably from the fatigue. I just kind of misgrooved it, sat back too much, and then I was stuck, and then I had to dump the bar. And then I had to spend 3 hours bloody unloading it. Yeah, so I decided to leave it there because, like I said, I felt pretty fried. So I didn't do any more squats. Like I said, I will take that session as as being completed because I only missed that final rep. And next week I will up the weight in both sessions, which will give me, if I get them, overall session PRs, which will set me up for some single PRs. Anyway, bodybuilding type stuff. I'm doing some dumbbell kind of incline rows on a bench there, and then I finished with some reverse machine flies, hitting obviously rear delts to a pretty big degree. Also a lot of trap action there, as you can probably see from the video you are watching. I did quite a lot. I did like 6 sets, with the last 3 sets as drop sets, all in the kind of 8 to 10 rep range. And that, my friends, was my session, and that was my week. So I sincerely hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Please like, comment, share, subscribe as always, and I will see you tomorrow.